when two parties, their leaders come together and then basically use that company, like the imams will say, use that mimbar together and say, look, we're talking about a poor country passing such a bill and what it means. Just like the National Assembly, what they did, if these leaders were to do that, I honest to God believe that they will be able to convince a good chunk of the Gambian population and not allow the current government to use the strategy that they always do, make it a partisan thing, a UDP thing and an NPP thing. Before you know it, Gambians will begin to see it now. But, you know, the good old chairman is here. We can't keep him waiting, no doubt. Mr. Chairman, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Good to be back on the People by the People. It's been such a long time.
I see. I see. We were thinking that he's part of he's a big boss now, and he can remember the guys at the bottom of the ladder, you know, still in the struggle. That's what we were thinking. But it's good to see you.
No. Good to see you. Good to see you indeed.
But you're looking fresh though. Maybe this allowance is they're doing something. You're looking pretty fresh, my brother.
No, you know what is happening? I'm really sweating here because we just lost electricity. So it's kind of a bit hot here at the moment. So maybe that's why I'm looking a bit fresh.
And congratulations for the new baby girl.
Thank you so much.
You know, like our all of you, you know, yalla ko yalla may at yu bari.
Amin Allah.
You fekke graduation am ak suñ koy cetale. Man sa I really need that. And like you will, like they always say, dama ko buga. I don't know whether you understand this all of one. Dama ko buga takal sagar. You know, so that so dama ko buga takal sagar and good to my commitment. Xam nga soo nekkee mag nga taka xalel magaloo mu magatoo ko.
I only hope you are not late. A lot of people are.
But I have the American dollars now, and I wouldn't hesitate to use it.
I know.
And I wouldn't even mind putting coming to the yellow team as
maybe I'll need to think about that then.
Brother Sariang.
Good morning, Chairman Darboe, and congratulations on your victory, and also congratulations on the baby girl. And we welcome you to the platform, and we'll look forward talking to Kombo Mansa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharia.
Kombo Mansa. Ah, wow, that's a new one. So what's that Kombo Mansa all about, Chairman?
Well, I'm also hearing it I'm hearing it from people. I don't know what it's all about because all I know is being a chairman of BAC, you're both the chairman for Kombo and Fonyi. So
I'll bring because Yankuba does chairman is because you run the largest municipality, the West Coast and Fonyi combined. So and that's why the folks say Combo. I mean, if you look at Combo's history, it's deep, and we can't finish that right there. So if they lead you and elect you because you present a greater product than the alternative, that means, you know, they look forward for you to work for them as their servant. And I think so far, so good. We are on the right track, but we'll continue talking about that here in a minute.
Indeed.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Obviously, an act of a National Assembly was used to create the local government. There was a local government provision.
Indeed.
And you walking into that situation, can you help us? What are some of the powers and duties of a local government. In other words, you were from the outside, and I'm sure you read the Local Government Act, and then you went in the inside. The act itself, is it in line with the reality when you walk in as chairman of BAC? In other words, if you can help us, just some of the powers of your council.
Okay, thank you very much. So once again, thank you guys for hosting me on the platform. And I want to extend my greetings to all the viewers or everyone that is watching this program. So yes, so the Local Government Act, you know, the primary act would be the Constitution, which made provisions for the local governments, for the establishments of the local governments. But the Constitution said they should maintain a high degree of autonomy. But what the previous government did on the Jammeh, it had been to basically desecrate that or slice it up. And the unfortunate situation is that the current government is also not helping that situation. So the role of the chairman is supposed to be as it was defined in the first act of the Local Government Act, which was the 2002 Act, basically stated that you are the political head of the region and you administer or you supervise the area. That's what it says. But in 2006, they had to bring in another amendment, which now clearly state that you are the head of the council.
Yeah, I think Mr. Darboe, are you still there? Chairman, we lost you there for a minute.
I am back. For some reason, all of a sudden it says your network is unstable and then it just gone and came back, returned.
Right. Okay.
So the 2006 Amendment Act, Local Government Amendment Act, brought in amendment, and then that basically broadened the definition and specified it a little bit, stating that you are the head of the council and you are responsible for in dealing with its laws, rules, and regulations, as well as the its taxes. So basically, as head of the council, your role is to preside over council sittings and also ensure that council's functions, and then you are also responsible for spearheading development in the region, because the council is responsible for the development of the markets. So there's a schedule to the act which talks about the areas that falls within our jurisdiction, and that would be markets, secondary roads, and then some other. You talk about the drainage system, lumos, and so many. It's a lot in there that falls within our jurisdiction, and we also deal with the VDCs, that is the Village Development Committees, as well as the WDC. So mainly development in the region all falls within our purview. So this is the role. So as the chairman, you are heading the council. The council has autonomy over its budget, and the law said 60% of our budget is supposed to be spent on development, whilst 40% is supposed to be spent on recurrence. So as the chairman now, you have to be able to come up with development plans which will benefit the region and that of the people of the region. But you do this together with your councillors, because the councillors represent, for example, in our region, we have 28 elected councillors, and each of those councillors are representing or hail from different wards, and they know the needs of the development needs of their wards. So they will bring that to the chairman, and the chairman will have to look at some of the most pressing ones, and then try to pick those ones and then make them priority in the budget. And then once that budget is approved by the ministry, the budget has to go to the ministry, because we have autonomy over the budget except that of our salaries and emoluments. That one, the ministry has a say, because most of the civil servants that are working in the council are actually civil servants who are working under the ministry. So literally, we have to make so whatever is in our budget. So we are also the policy makers of the council. So we come up with the policies and expect our civil servants to implement that for us. And that is some of the roles, the functions of the chairman in the region. So basically, you are head of the council, and you are the spearhead for development in your region, literally.
Yeah, Mr. Darboe, because I went back and also looked at some of the powers of the council. And I'm like, okay, I mean, there are a lot of things that they can really make happen. Management, control, oversight of the authority of its accounts, finances, making of bylaws.
That's right.
The council also essential on other services to be provided by the authority, control of financials and other resources allocated from central government. Just looking at it, just reading it, I'm like, okay, there's a whole lot that is,
a
whole lot that definitely the council can do.
That's right.
Now, you walk into that situation, but what are the realities? Is it different from what they have on paper?
So
are you still able to, what are the stumbling blocks that you think, in as much as the ACA is giving you all these powers, what is making it so difficult for you to implement or pursue those powers or exploit those powers?
So what is making it a lot more difficult is basically the central government, one, and especially the ministry, that is the Ministry of Local Government. One of the things they do not understand is that they think that we are actually accountable to them. But the law is very clear. We are accountable to our electorates and the National Assembly, not necessarily the ministry. But you see, the ministry has a way of controlling and stymieing everything that we can do in the council when it comes to implementing some of our political agendas. And that is one way to do it, is to try and control the implementers of our decision, and that is the civil servants that work with us. So that would be the chief executive officer to the director of finance, director of planning, and all these other people. They can try to control those people. So if you want them to do something, they can try to tell those people not to do it. And if they more or less reject whatever you are telling them to do, and you want to take action against them, that action also has to go through them, the same ministry. So right. You could see why you would have all kind of problems. So they are making obstacle upon obstacle just to make sure that we get a lot more frustrated and we are not able to implement some of the aspirations and the objectives that we have in terms of achieving or registering development in our region. So the ministry is the big problem, if I would put it bluntly. I would say that the Ministry of Local Government and Lands would be the big obstacle. They're doing everything that they can to make life as difficult as possible as they can do for us in the council. And we're trying within these difficult circumstances to be able to at least register certain development for our people. But the ministry wants to totally control the way councils function, and they do not want councils to have that highest degree of autonomy as the constitution dictates.
Full on the trend, but I'm going to allow my good friend, my colleague, to come in and ask his questions. Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman Darboe, for coming up on the platform today. My first question to you, Chairman Darboe, as being duly elected, what kind of opportunities does that chairmanship offer you, and also the challenges that you faced when you took over the office?
So the opportunities it offered me basically is to be in control of the finances of our council, and then to also be able to set a trajectory for it. And this is something that which wasn't happening. And then also to try and make sure that I stopped the funds or the revenue of the council being looted by certain individual or few people, and try to save the money for our people. And hopefully next year, to be able to invest that in attaining some development needs of our people. So this is the opportunity that it has created for us. And then also it gives us the opportunity to create more opportunities for our youths as well. If you look at it, since we came in, one of the stumbling blocks we had was the budget that they had that was passed by the ministry. And that budget didn't include a lot of the objectives that we want or the goals that we want to achieve. So we had to find a way or circumvent it to be able to create opportunity for the youth. So as we speak, we have been able to at least get almost about 70 youths and then our hope is by next year to ramp that up or to increase it to almost around 400 to 200, 400 youths, getting them engaged in something that is a bit more meaningful and that would encourage them to stay in this country rather than take the perilous and dangerous backway journey to Europe. So this is something that which we are doing as a council, and we've seen that opportunity there, and we are trying to exploit it to make the best use of it for our youths. So I've got a lot of youths that are already engaged with the council in terms of what we call compliance officers, going around with collectors to make sure that collectors don't steal money from council. And some are actually now being empowered by council resolution to collect revenue for us, and they're bringing a lot of revenue. And others have been engaged in the Senea project, which is just cleaning and making sure that we are able to collect refuge within our region. So this is an opportunity. It gives me an opportunity to serve my people, our people in the region. But the challenges I have is that of the central government trying to create as many impediments as they can to make sure that I am not able to relish in that opportunity.
All right, thank you, Chairman. My next question here is, you mentioned that, of course, the cleaning project that you embark on, and looking at that, definitely, it's very commendable. And one of the videos I saw you talking about the lack of PPEs, and also the community responded to your plea and provide some of the amenities that you needed immediately to embark on that project. But that was a departure from your predecessor. And I think my question is, as the chairman, what motivates you that you need to be in the center or in the forefront to lead your team to ensure that you go from community to community and embark on such project to help clean the environment?
Indeed. So the staffs that I inherited here are accustomed to the way they were doing things in the past, and that was just basically doing nothing. And I felt like if I should sit down and let that continue, it's not going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. And also, if I should sit there and give directions, that too is not going to make any change. It's not going to change. So the only better way of doing it is for me to lead from the front, to be the change that I really want them to achieve. So I had to be on the ground. And one of the things that I have learned is that when I am on the ground doing it with them, then they get a lot more motivated to do, because they don't want me to see them idling and not doing anything. Whereas if I should sit in the office and ask them to go and do it, they would go out there and do as they were doing before, which is just providing nothing to the people and then quarreling and arguing. But this time around, they're seeing their own leader, person who they call their boss, dating his hands in the mud and a whole lot of other things to try and provide that service that which we ought to provide to our people. And I think that was something that is that really motivated me to go out there. But also, the mindset of the people in this country is that certain menial jobs are jobs that are treated with contempt. So people don't want to do it because they feel like this is a job not for me and all that stuff. So, but I want to change that mindset and that narrative. I want them to feel like, hold on here. If the chairman who is the boss of or the head of the council can go out there and start collecting waste. And this is a job that which there are a lot of vacancies that when we are trying to get people to fill, but those people are not willing to do it because they're thinking that that is a job that which everybody, if you engage in it, people will treat you with contempt or disdain. And I'm trying to change that to say that, well, if the chairman can do it, what is to stop you from doing it? What sort of ridiculing and would you have to take or succumb to when the chairman is doing it? You can say, well, the chairman of the council is doing it and is doing it on a regular basis. This is not a menial job or a job that I should treat with contempt, but it is a noble job. And you are providing a very important service to the people, because when you look at our region, especially certain part of our region, people are really, really desperate and really, really struggling with waste, and providing that service to them, I think that is noble indeed.
Go ahead, Musa.
Chairman Darboe,
Yes.
you said something about the ministry or local government commission is one of the major stumbling blocks in terms of delivering for the people of Western Division.
Yeah.
But there is also another side of the coin, Mr. Darboe, Chairman Darboe.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows you, at least personally I do, your orientation in terms of an activist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're in England, you Winterby. I mean, fighting to bring an end to tyranny. There are a lot of Johnny come lately to the struggle, not you. You were a leader and you were consistent. You became elected by the people of Western Division, Chairman Darboe. Somehow, you are unable to detach yourself from activism to governing. And in other words, your mindset hasn't shifted properly. The struggle continues, whether it's on social media. You're already there, a decision maker, supposed to deliver for Western Division.
Yes.
And one would question, does Chairman Darboe has the mindset to govern? Is he willing to reach out to the other team, sit down and say, let's deliver for the people of Western Division? Yes, they are a major stumbling block. You mean the ministry. But at the same time, don't you think the strategies that you are imploring also is an obstacle for making it happen for the people of Western Division? What do you say to that?
No, yes, it's difficult transition to move from being an activist to governing. But I think when you ask the councillors of West Coast or the BAC, Brikama Area Council, they will tell you that actually I have done or I am doing far better governing than any other chairman or chairpersons that they had in the past. The reason being is that I have always been able to reach out to and remember, in my council, we have candidates from all the political parties, literally, not all of them, but the major ones. So we have candidates from MPP, UDP, APRC, No to Alliance, APRC, Yes to Alliance. But I've been able to bring them all together and then make them understand that politics is something that we've done and we won. Now we are here and we need to serve the people of West Coast. And we have to do it to the best of our abilities, you see. So I have been able to bring that team, which is from diverse in its composition. I've been able to bring them together to work, to be able to pass resolutions unanimously, to be able to vote on things, because I always believe that whatever we do, I have to convince people. Because being an activist, one of the advantages of it is that you always want to reflect on your actions, on whatever you do, because you feel like there is another you out there that is about to criticize you, or that is always going to challenge whatever you do or whatever you say. So you are always mindful of what you do and how you do it. So reaching out, when it comes to reaching out, we've been reaching out literally to everyone else, and we want to work with everyone. You know, we get along very well with the governor of the region. We go out there and then we deal with him as we are supposed to. But the central government's, our problem with central government, it's not even a problem with them, but it's just the laws and how the laws are. You know, the first question you ask is how the Local Government Act is. You see, the Local Government Act is one of the most terrible drafted laws that exist in our legal text, legal books of today. And it's very outdated. It doesn't even sync with the Constitution, because the Constitution is talking about independence. Local Government Act, it at some point will say you are independent, and other point is trying to tell you you are not independent. For example, you are in control of you have autonomy over your budget, but you don't have the power to employ your own staffs. So you have to rely on central government to do the employment for you. If you have to sack people, even when you found them of committing some of the serious financial malpractices in public office, you still have to rely on central government to do that for you. You can only make that decision, and that decision is through your council resolution. So when people say you cannot take this resolution, so you cannot do this, well, what are we supposed to do as a council? We have to make decisions, and our decisions are resolutions. So this is what we have to do. When it comes to governing, we have been, from the outset, we've been transparent and accountable, and I think that should be the bedrock of every democratic government or local government that exists in anywhere. You have to govern with the people. You don't impose yourself on them. And that is exactly what we're doing. And we believe that if the central government has the interest of the development of the country, I think they will work with us. They should not see us as their competitors or rivals.
Chairman Darboe, believe me,
work with.
I get that. When I ask the question, reaching to the other side, I'm not talking about within the council itself, because you said the major stumbling block is basically central government. In this case, the Minister of Local Government, the Local Government Commission. And my question is, it takes two to tango. And the reason why I brought the activism, that you are an activist, you got elected, but you haven't set aside the activism. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with being, you remember, I always tease Pasamba that even if he were to be elected, he's gonna go out and protest against himself. Yeah, there are two different hats. There's a hat of an activist, there's nothing wrong with that. But the moment you're elected by people, you are in a totally different situation. You have to deliver for the people of Western Division. There is another stakeholder. You see, we cannot create a local government act that doesn't exist. It is what it is. If it means in consultation with the local government commission before major decisions are made, then that's what it's going to take. It means compromise. It means reaching out. Now, my question is, not only the activism had, but there is also the politics of it. When you got elected, Mr. Darboe, you acted, Chairman Darboe, you acted just like President Barrow did. He went ahead and nominated people that were his political allies. It wasn't about merits, was not the first consideration. You basically did the same thing. You went and appointed people that you believe they either help you get elected or you guys belong in the same political party, and everything else is secondary. And people see you then not only as a chairman who is elected by the people of Western Division, but also you fall under the same fray that President Barrow did, kind of paying back your loyalists. What do you say to that, Chairman?
No. That is not about paying back the loyalists. I mean, you live in America. I lived in the UK. Literally, since I have always known politics in the UK, I've never seen a Labour government that came into power and nominate Conservatives in any part of the government. That never happened even in the Western countries. I don't think anybody can fault President Barrow for nominating his own party people, as long as he follows the criteria that the Constitution says. So the Constitution said nominate a youth person. You don't bring an adult and then claim that that is a youth. If it says nominate a disabled person, you don't bring an able person and then claim that that person is a representative of the disabled people. So that is not what anybody will fault anyone in a democracy. In America, it's the same thing. Democrats always come with a democratic government. They come with government made of Democrats. The Republicans is the same thing. So politics, I think, in any part of the world, whenever a particular party comes in, they will always give priority to their party people. And then they will, because it's like you are hired to do a job. The other party is supposed to hold you account of whatever you do. They're also doing a job. Their job is to make sure you people deliver and you serve the people. And then their job is to hold you account as the government in waiting or the local government in waiting. So we cannot say we're going to appoint MPP to come and work with us as our nominated people, and then they come into the council and they're opposing us and we are not able to deliver anything. That is not the way we see it. So I don't think I fault him for nominating or bringing people from the MPP. No, that is not what I fault him for. But when it is civil service, when it is employing people in the civil service, there you don't have to look at the party callers. You have to look at you have to look at the competency of the person and the knowledge and the qualifications and the expertise in the area that which is up for grab. But that is something different with Barrow, because Barrow, even in the civil service, so he took it to another level, and that is not something that you find in any other place. But that is the status quo with him. We don't act like that, and I don't think we are acting like that. But when it comes to using our political powers, such as nominate, I will tell you the truth, because that is the politics I understand even in the West. You nominate people from your own camp, from your own party, because you want to serve, and then the other party, you expect them to hold you and whoever you nominate accountable in whatever you do. That is their role. That is the role of opposition anywhere. So we expect our opponents to be criticizing whenever we are wrong, or even criticizing even when we are right. But that's my position about that one. And I don't think I fault Barrow if he nominates people from MPP in different places. I don't think it should become this polarizing factor that which he now creates it into. That if you are not part of MPP, you cannot get anything in the government. And if you're not, even service that which you are entitled to receive from the government, you're not supposed to get it because simply you are in the opposition. No, that is not what we are doing. If you look at what I am doing, I go to every compound in this place and I will collect their rubbish. I'm providing that service for them. And I'm doing it without even questioning whether they belong to that party or this party. I think that is because that is my job. That is the oath I took to serve everybody, regardless of whatever political affiliation they have. So that's where we differ with Barrow. Barrow with them, even their vehicles, they don't want us to enter. Even the GG vehicle, they don't want us to enter because it's a UDP. They don't want to bring any development to areas that are UDP because they believe that they are UDP. No, for us, as a council, we want to take development everywhere. And I am working with councillors from all the different wards, and whatever development that they want to achieve, I always go the extra mile to make sure that that development reaches their people, because I think that, as I usually tell the people, the councillors that are from Fonyi, that there are people in your own wards that voted for both you and me, and it is our duty to make sure we serve them, and we will do that. So that's where I think the difference is between me and Barrow.
Thank you very much, Dan. But just quickly, I just want to make sure that I heard you right. You're saying that President Barrow is basically denying development in certain areas that are not UDP. Is that what you're saying?
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
Can you give me an example? Where did they do that?
So, for example, I can give you an example, but let me think about that, and I come back on that.
I just wanted to make sure that I hear you right.
But I know I can tell you, for example, I have received and I've got letters from a lot of civil servants who have gotten letters threatening to sack them, or some of them even sacked as a result of what they claim they are opposition and UDP. You see, so that is the development. It's a personal development for those people, and it has not been brought to them. They've been denied of it as a result of their political affiliation, and that is, in fact. If you go to certain government departments and you speak to certain civil servants, they will tell you that we are having problems, we are not being promoted, or we are denied of this and that. Things that which is their rights, they're denied of it because quite simply they said they are UDP. That's what is happening. And then you hear that that what is happening. I think you've heard people calling for even the IGP to be sacked because he's a UDP. You see what I mean?
Gotcha.
It's not about merit. It's not about what he's done or his conduct in office. Even if he's doing perfectly, they're saying, well, you are UDP, you should be sacked. That's what I'm saying. The politics, that sort of polarization is not good, and it is bad. And we need to detach or move away from that.
Thank you very much, Chairman Darboe. Sariang.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Darboe. I hear this activism. It kind of overshadow your professional profile. I think one thing people don't know is you're a lawyer by profession. Is that correct, Yankuba?
Definitely, lawyer by profession, indeed.
Yes, yeah, and you cannot distinct activism from politics. And I think activism is truly, we have this debate every Sunday with Coach Pasamba, because ideals that are dear to his heart and the beliefs that are core to his heart, he holds them hardly enough, and you cannot sway him. And I think, some activism is not bad at all, because it kind of lean you towards what your core beliefs is, and those translates into agendas that you can support and that you cannot support in the greater good of what you do or the position that you do. But I just want to kind of throw that as a preamble to my question. So, but following up to what we're saying, Mr. Chairman Darboe, you came in as the chairman. The books were read. They were deficit. And a couple of weeks ago, I read from Tad saying that, in fact, Brikama Area Council went in and took a loan to pay, their staff. Now, coming in, you sat on this platform during the campaign. You lay out a vision, what you're going to do, and you're going to ban. But between 90 days, you were able to make a lot of gains. How do you do that? How were you able to mobilize and be able to reconcile your books within 90 days?
So thank you very much for that question. So the first thing I did when I got in there was I wanted to know the finances of the institution, because I thought that is very, very important starting point to start from. So I asked for the bank statements to see where we are, what are our financial status at that time. And then I realized that we were getting a lot of money. So when I requested for January to June, I realized that on average, we were getting, in just one account from our licenses and our land transfer alone, we were getting about 10 million almost on a monthly basis. So I then started calculating, because when we brought in, and then I realized that 10 million was coming in, 15 million was going out on a monthly basis. How is that possible? So I wanted to know what we were expanding on, what we were spending on, because these expenditures are unsustainable. If you're making 10 million and you're spending a lot more than that, then you've got to take austerity measures and bring your house in order. So, but I realized that actually most of those withdrawals are not justified. So that's when I said, you know what, we're going to bring in thresholds. We're going to make so that certain amount of withdrawals cannot happen without it being justified to me as the chairman. And I was able to convince the councillors to vote for that, and we passed it as a resolution. And since then, I started seeing that the withdrawals were drastically coming down. And we were only withdrawing when it is necessary. And that means that the expenditure that was over 10 million came down to, let's say, around 4 million. And that became sustainable. And in time, we were we started clawing back on the reds or the minuses that we were having in our accounts because revenue was coming in. And then when we started clawing back the minuses, I started seeing the revenue going down. And we started asking questions. Why are this happening? And then we realized that people were doing it deliberately. For example, our market collectors started coming with, let's say, on average, $500 a day. Sometimes they would even come with, I think, some will even come with about as little as 200 or 100, and you wonder what is happening in the market. But they want us to believe that it's the rainy season, people are not coming out. But whenever you physically visit the market, you wouldn't notice any such difference. So I'm like, no way, we've got to find a solution to this. And this is when we started getting hiring these volunteers. We hired volunteers to go into the market to accompany the collectors to make sure that we know firsthand how they're collecting, where they're collecting, and why they're not collecting as they're supposed to. And we realized that they were doing it deliberately, because soon as they started being followed by these compliance officers, those that were struggling to collect 200, 500 a day started collecting 5,000. And then the other thing we realized was that they were giving themselves certain number of booklets, ticket booklets. So they would give themselves 1 booklet a day when you have a store full of booklets. So once they finish that booklet, let's say 500, they're like, okay, we've done what we're supposed to do this particular day. We said, no, that is not acceptable. You've got to go with as many books as you're supposed to, and then you spend all the time that you're supposed to be in that market collecting, not doing anything but collecting. So it wasn't easy. You have to take that bold decision and that unpopular and unfavorable decision against your own staffs to make sure that they deliver, because they are being paid to do that work. It is unfair and it is cheating if they're being paid on a monthly salary and they're refusing to do the work that they're supposed to be doing. And these monies that they're bringing in is actually supposed to be covering their recurrence, because for the last 4 or 5 years, BAC hadn't embarked on any development projects in the region. The projects that they've started are all incomplete. And this is the unfortunate situation that we have. So we had to learn from the mistakes that they have made. And to do that, we have to investigate. We have to make sure we get an impartial assessment of things, because they are not going to tell us the whole truth. They will tell us the half truth, because they don't want us to discover the dubious activities that they were engaged in. And to also help us in achieving this was to also engage the media. So we started this monthly radio program on Palmudu where we speak to the people. And then when the people start being sensitized of how things are run by these collectors and everyone else, people themselves became their own police officers. So they make sure whenever the collectors collect whatever their daily dues from them, they make sure they receive their tickets or their receipts from them. Because one of the things we told them is that if you fail to take your receipts from them, what they do is they go and sell the same receipt to another person.
Correct.
And if that person failed to take the receipt, they will go with it, and then they will gather as many receipts that they can, and then start selling it to other people, and that money will go to them rather than it come into council for us to be able to have the revenue to invest in the development needs of your people. So this is how the strategies we are taking, and the other thing that we have done is to make sure that the collectors that we have, especially licensed collectors, because they are the biggest, they collect the biggest chunk of our revenue. We make sure that they do what we call a daily reporting. So they let us know what they are getting on a daily basis. Because if we don't do that, and because what is happening is the tradition at BAC is you depend on the collectors. You allow them to go for the whole week and they come and self-report at the end of the week. And since we do not have pre-existing data of the revenue base or the revenue sources, literally at their mercies. At the end of the week, you cannot even predict how much they're going to come with. They could come with zero. Some do that. In fact, the great majority of them tend to do that, most. And that had been a real big problem for us. So it's getting people out there to go after them, especially the councillors, because one of the things we've done is to make sure the councillors go, especially within their wards, to find out the revenue sources that are yet to be collected and why they are not collected. Then when they come back, they call these collectors to try to find out from them why they have not collected X, Y, and Z, because the collectors would want you to believe that they have collected almost 90% of their areas. If you do not engage your councillors to do that engagement within the community, you will not know the level of on collection that have taken place, or that or the revenue base that is still there, which has not been collected by your collectors. So all of this culminating, it's the culmination of all these factors that actually help us bring down our expenditures, and then to also maximize our revenue, and to be able to balance our books within the 3 months that we were in. Because we realized that if we're not able to balance our books and cut down the deficit that we had, we're not going to be able to achieve anything. The next 5, we will be the same as our predecessors. We won't be able to achieve any or register any meaningful development in the region. And thank God we've been able to change the narrative and change the trajectory.
Thank you, Chairman Darboe. My question is, I'm just going to flip it. So in essence, then, based on what you've explained so far, being a lawyer, especially in the UK, and obviously, you have people working for you and you run that office, and you juxtapose that with activism, things that you believe, the beliefs, the ideals that are core to your heart. How do you navigate? I mean, how does that prepare you based on the complexities? Based on the complexities, obviously working with the central government, the combination of different political parties that are within your purview, how does that prepare you to have a different perspective, but also be able to navigate through those complexities and put the agenda of the people front and center and be able to deliver?
So the starting point for me was that I had to accept the fact that the institution that I was inheriting was corrupt. So I believed that the institution was corrupt, and the only way to help or to succeed in that institution is to fight that corruption. And how do you do it? It's basically what I explained before. You check the accounts, and then from there, you start following anywhere that you think that revenue is leaking. That's where I started. And the activism helped in that, because as an activist, I was fighting, or I was campaigning against corruption. That was something that we were doing. We were not only campaigning against dictatorship. Dictatorship, it encompassed all of that. Corruption, the violation of human rights, and a whole lot of other things. And the arbitrary abuse of offices the previous government was doing. So it encompassed all of that. So when we were, as an activist, fighting against such a system, and now being part of that system and heading that system, the first thing that the first instinct is to make sure that you sanitize the system. You make sure that all the terrible acts or the dubious acts people were engaged in, you try to change it. So our initial approach is not to go and then be hostile to everyone and then make everyone your enemy. No, what we wanted to do is to make people understand that what they were doing, we know it and it is wrong, and this is the time they have to stop and change, and let us have a new page. So what I told them is, let's open a new page. Let the past be in the past, but we cannot carry on with that old, terrible old habits into the future. We need to make sure this time around we are honest, transparent, and accountable to our people. And that's the only way we can be able to achieve development for our people in West Coast. So I had to literally implore them to understand the plight of the people of West Coast. People in Combonote are crying because their waste is uncollected. People in the densely populated, in the urbanized settled areas are badly affected. Their roads are inaccessible in the rainy season due to waterlogs and a whole lot of other things. And we happen to start in the rainy season because we literally start office on the 1st of June, and that was literally in the rainy season. So the challenges that you can think of in the rainy season, those are the challenges that we were confronted with. And the only way we were able to overcome those challenges is if we try to change the people within, and if we stuck to our mantra, and that is, you either change or we change you. That was the campaign slogan we sold out to the people of West Coast. We said, you either change or we will change you, and we tried our level best to change them. Now, what happened is, over time, we realized that certain people literally find it too uncomfortable to change to the norms, to the normal way of how they are supposed to be. And that made it difficult for us to be able to carry on with them. And that is the reason why we ended up with resolutions against some people, try to say to the central government, you have to get rid of these people because they are not actually doing any work for the people of West Coast. They are only here to take their badly needed revenue from them for their own personal use. So the activism helped in that. It made me to be a lot more prepared and to be more steadfast and to be more focused and steadfast and be determined, because activism, it literally it trained you or disciplined you to be more determined. Because if you're not determined as an activist, you cannot be an activist. You will just give up at some point because you're dealing with an entrenched system and then they are not willing to change. But you have to remain on the course to keep knocking every day. Sometimes they will kill you, sometimes they lock you up, sometimes they do all kinds of things because they don't want you to do what you're doing. But as an activist, you have to have that stubbornness. So that, I think, is a trait that helped me to be persistent and then remain focused and steadfast and determined to tell these people that, look, you have to either change or we will change you, because otherwise the status quo or the way things were cannot carry on, and we are not going to be able to accommodate that moving forward.
Thank you, Chairman Darboe. It looks like the brother man dialed in, so he has to have his word when we're talking about activism.
Indeed.
Coach Samba.
Yes, sir. Comrade Yanks, my greetings to you. Don't listen to those
no,
people.
But I know, but that's not fair though.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yang, because
You know,
I have to make a clarification before Pa Samba comes in. I think it is
Yes.
important because it looks like activism has become the buzzword. Like I said, activism is a good thing. It's a vehicle that can be utilized, especially when you're operating from the outside. Nelson Mandela was an activist. When you become the decision maker, and I'm not saying you remove your activism hat, but then you have to wear your governing hat. Now it's not about the activism. It's about the governing, the decision-making, the compromise, the reaching out. It's a totally different mindset. Go ahead, Mr. Activist.
Yeah, and there is nothing that says that you cannot govern in an activist way, because activism is pretty much agenda driven. You have an agenda that is geared towards salvaging people's poverty or livelihood. So if you're governing from that, you pretty much, your conscience will always be guiding you in whatever you do, because you're always very worried about, this is me. I cannot turn around to be the corrupt leader that I was protesting against, or this is me. I cannot be the human rights violator that I was protesting against. So I think activism is the best guide for anybody who wants to lead a nation, especially one of our own. Comrade Yanks, I have not listened to all the program because I'm at the plantation. But there was something that you said that caught my attention about how these people, these collectors, would go, they were left on their own, and they would come and tell you, oh, we've collected this much, or we've not collected anything. And one of the measures that you said, if I heard you very well, is that you've even gone to the extent of having those collectors being accompanied by councillors. Yes. Here is my misgiving about that. I know it's a desperate move. For 58 years, the Gambia has been plagued by corruption, untold amount of corruption, all three governments that we've had. Elected officials have never proven so far to be uncorrupt. What guarantees do you have that those councillors will not end up playing the same games as the collectors? Because at some point they may be in cahoots, and maybe where you feel that you have safeguards would be an opening for them to be able to pillage the resources of the council.
Okay, so let me just make a bit of a clarification there. The councillors usually go into their words to make sure that the revenue sources are collected or not collected. That's the main assessment that they would normally do. But the collectors are usually accompanied by what we call volunteers. So we got a lot of these youths that we have engaged into accompanying these people. And then for them to make sure that they take note of how much money they collected, and then subs that they are skipping and why they are skipping those subs. And then if they give out receipts, whether they're giving out receipts or they are not giving out receipts to the vendors. So these are all informations that we try to get from these compliance officers, which usually help us when it comes to dealing with those collectors. Because we know that something was not right with these collectors. We know the revenue is there, but for some reason, the revenue is not coming to the council. And that is our concern. So that's why we said we need to get these collectors. So one of the safeguards we are trying to use when it comes to those compliance officers is that we don't want them to become too comfortable with a particular collector. So if they go with collector in this particular zone in this week, we try to change them, we rotate them. In that way, they don't get that coziness. So that is one way of trying to, as one control measure of trying to avoid a situation where they will become too comfortable with the collectors to a point of conniving with them and depriving council with the much badly needed revenue. But what we've also discovered, you know, one of the sad things about this country is that there is so much opportunity that we can create, or we can create for our people, especially our youths that are desperate enough for work and a whole lot of things. We found that the Kama Area Council had about, I think, they will tell you they have about 430 something staffs. And these 430 something, you would find that some of them are ghost workers, some of them are basically dead people on our payroll. So we were able to vet this whole thing. I remember when I was in this program, we talked about doing the payroll check. I think it was with Sariam or with Musa. And that is some of the things that help us, that we decided to vet the payroll, and we realized that we have dead people who are on our payroll, and we also have ghost workers that are there. But the sad part is this. For example, Gusubi Turntable, it's a busy marketplace now. And for all these years, there's never been collection there. Sukuta Table, Sukuta Roundabout as well. For all these years, no collection. Simply the reason why they have not had collection there is because for some reason, Brikama Area Council had been so comfortable by just having 22 collectors. 22 collectors for the whole region of West Coast. And it was just shy. You realize that there are certain markets, that market is busier in the evenings than even in the mornings. But they have collectors for only in the mornings and not in the evening. Whilst we have a lot of our youths out there dying for work. So when we came, we said we need to employ a lot of these people. And the CEO and the rest of the people there said, no, you cannot employ them because that is not budgeted. And you cannot do X, Y, and Z. We said, okay. Well, when we realized that actually they can get people, work for them voluntarily and pay them honorarium, we said, well, bingo, that now answers the question. We are going to get all these people to come and work for council and then be able to collect the areas that we are not collecting, and we pay them honorarium. And that's what we have been doing. Now we are collecting a lot more money in the Bruce B turntable. Just yesterday, they were able to sell, I think, about 8 booklets or 9 booklets on Saturday. That is a huge lot of revenue for us. On a daily basis, they are doing 6 to 7 booklets at that area alone every single day. You're talking about a revenue of almost about 5,000, 4,000, 5,000 a day from that area every single day, you know. And then when our councillors went to Kanlaji, as far as Kanlaji being the first village when you're coming into West Coast from LRR, in that village, when they engaged this chief of the district, he told them that BAC is actually losing a lot of revenue in Kanlaji because we have no collector there. And they said that place, the market is a lot more busy because it attracts a lot of people from neighboring customers. That is the similar sentiment we are getting across the whole of Fonyi, going into the Combo East, and the whole of Combo South. We are not collecting in Khartoum, we are not collecting in Gunjur, we are not collecting. And you wonder why, for some reason, BAC could not create job opportunities for a lot of the youths that are unemployed in this region, who could become collectors and maximize the revenue for the council and enable this council to be able to bring in a lot of meaningful development in this region. So what we have done so far is to get a lot of these youths recruited in as volunteers. We pay them not huge lot, but a small token at the end of the month as honorarium payment. It's about $3,000 we give them, but that is motivating enough for those people to be on the job every day. In fact, they are normally there before our collectors, who are getting paid more than them. So this is so sad. But we've seen a new opportunity that which we can create more job for our people. And next year, suddenly, we will be employing a lot of people we will engage a lot of them. We'll recruit a lot of people who are going to work as collectors for the council, and we will be able to maximize our revenue. And hopefully, we'll be able to save and convince a lot of people, a lot of youths from leaving the shores of the country and taking the perilous and very dangerous journey to go to Europe through the back way. So I hope that answered Coach, but I think Coach is gone. So Musa, back to you.
Yeah, Chairman Darboe.
Yes.
I really, let me say this. I really sympathize with your situation. Because I've had a taste of it. Back in 1994, heading back to Gambia and getting into a government job and thinking that I know it all, that I can change the system. Like you said, an entrenched, corrupt system, and you want to change it. It's extremely difficult. And I'm not going to sit here and second guess what you are doing. I think you're doing a hell of a job. But again, we have to ask the question. When you say you walk into a corrupt institution, can you help me? You walk into Birkama Area Council. The system is bad. I mean, just listening to these commissions, we're all beginning to see how bad the system is. Whether it's Basse, whether it's Birkama, whether it's Kuntawu Area Council, people helping themselves instead of money heading to the council's coffers. And that has to be fixed. And you are attempting to fix it. Something tells me it's not necessarily the personnel. I don't care who you bring into that system. They are going to help themselves. When you came in, you're a lawyer. Who helped you to say, okay, this is the system, and maybe these are some of the things that we need to do to put in the right controls? I know you have collectors. Who hired these collectors? Who? Is it the local government commission? Is it the, who does that? Who hired the collectors and said, okay, you work for us? Who does that? Who's making those decisions? And so if you can just walk me through the system as it is, like, okay, this is how we do it. The collectors go out there, they collect the money, they put it in the bank, blah. Just kind of help us out understand the system as it is. I mean, Chairman Darboe.
So the system, the way it is designed to work is that the hiring is supposed to be done by a group of councillors that is established as what we call Establishment and Appointment Committee of Council. So they're the establishment and Establishment and Appointment Subcommittee of councillors. So there's a committee of councillors, elected councillors. So they change every council terms. So new elected councillors will form the new subcommittee, and they have to do the interviewing. They have to do the recommendations for appointment and dismissal and a whole lot of things to the Service Commission. But you see, this is a delegated service to them by the General Council. The law said the General Council reserves the right to exercise whatever delegated service or delegated authority that they're given it to these subcommittees. So appointments can be done by the General Council. It can also be done by the Establishment Committee. But the Establishment Committee's main function and role is that of appointing, dismissal, disciplining, and a whole lot of things of council workers. But you know, when I entered the system I entered, or the institution I entered was corrupt, you would find that most of the appointments are done by a single individual, because that single individual was having the total control of the payroll system, because he's the paymaster. So he puts anybody there that he wants to pay, and he takes out anybody that he doesn't want to pay. So that was how the institution was. And that's why it made the situation really, really messy at BAC.
So just for clarification, that payroll master, who is it? Who hired that guy? Is it the CEO? The CEO?
So he was brought to the council. Remember, the payroll was our director of finance. Director of finance was working at KMC. He had problem at KMC. They moved him to Yanyambure area council. Then from there, they brought him to Brikama as the director of finance. So now he run the whole show. So he was brought there by the local government service commission. So by the ministry. By the ministry. So the ministry brought it. But you know, when Brikama area council, as you rightly said, we have a lot of work. Our plate is just full for us, to tell you the truth, because the level of corruption at BAC is just it's just mind-blowing, to tell you the truth. Sometimes you just cannot understand. It's like the other day, we ran out of tickets, and we were trying to investigate why we ran out of tickets. So our investigations led us to contact the director of GPPC. Soon as we spoke to the guy, he was like, "Are you the chairman?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Yes, I've been meaning to call you in order to speak to you, because the way your institution is running, we do not understand at this end. Because we compare your institution to KMC. KMC are selling 5,000 daily market tickets in a month. And then in a year, they're selling about 60,000. your region is supposed to be bigger than KMC. But for
Right.
some reason, your people, since the 2nd of May, for the whole of this year, 2023, they only ordered 5,000 tickets. And that's the 5,000 tickets they've been selling. And out of that 5,000 tickets, they only collected about 2,000 or 2,500. That's all they collected. We have 3,000 or 2,500 still here with us. And it's only now in this October that they're telling you that they run out of those tickets. How is that possible? So then you're beginning to say, what is going on here? So the tickets that we actually were convinced and believed were the authentic tickets, we're now being told by GPVC that actually these are not authentic tickets. These are fake tickets. So you're beginning to you just sit in your desk there and you're like to yourself, where do we even start with that investigation? And we're already in other investigations. You see what I mean? So whilst we were at that one, we are being told that, in fact, you as the chairman have not been signing the land transfer certificates for all these years. And these land transfer certificates are only being signed by the CEO. So you do not know how many transfers he has effected. And then when you are contemplating on investigating that, you're getting information that actually it used to be the former permanent secretary who was conniving with the CEO, and there was the CEO and the director of finance were taking their share to them at the ministry. So now you understand why ministry does not like us, and they do not like what we are doing at the council, because you are being told that ministry are having their own share from your council on a monthly basis, and now you are trying to stop all of that. So now you are stepping on too many toes, and too many people want to finish you before you even realize it. So this is why everything that we are doing is so challenging. It's really difficult for ministry for us to see eye to eye, because they think that we're trying to block or to stop them from benefiting or getting whatever benefits they were getting. So the problems that I am having, or that we inherited in that council, are too many. Just yesterday or day before yesterday, we got a legal action, or what we call pre-action notice, from lawyers demanding 22 million for 5C that were doing digital collection for the council there. And this digital collection was terminated because they collected 115 million, and they are supposed to be paid 22 million out of that, because that is the agreement they had with our council. So you begin to wonder, if these people collected 115 million, where has that money disappeared into? To a point that the 22 million that they're supposed to be paying them has also disappeared with the rest of that money. And now they're asking us for that money. Then we have Social Security taking us to court, and they're also been given a court order, send us BAC to pay them another $24 million. And this is BAC that was already in red, 10 million plus in red. So where are we going to get all this money from? This is the big question that you ask yourself. And I have inherited staffs, even our ballot collectors were receiving money, we're collecting money, because one day we got information from, let's say, Tanje Beachside. They said your collectors have been collecting here on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, and this is the amount they charge us for collecting our rubbish, and that is 3,000. And then the understanding we had when we came in was that free collection was what was provided by BAC. And now you're being told by all these various institutions like airport, were telling us that yes, we were paying 200,000 or this 100,000 to BAC for collecting our waste at airport. Others at the hotels are telling we are also paying, and you wonder where has that money gone into? And this is the mystery in BAC. We have so many problems. If the ministry work with us, we can clean BAC and make it a much better institution that will serve the people of West Coast. And the only way they can help us is when we, as the councillors, the elected people, who are not tainted by any of these corruptions and all these malpractices, tells them that this so-and-so person are so muddied in dirt that you've got to get rid of them. they need to act fast. And whenever we do it, we provide them with evidence because we get this evidence from the public. So
Right.
we were dealing with all these issues. And then last week, the market committee, we also have a market subcommittee of councillors. They went into the market, Brikama market, to do the assessment. And guess what? We realized that, in fact, 75% of the stalls in that market are not owned by BAC. And this is BAC market. This is a market that is on a public ground. Then you wonder who owns all those stalls. They give you names of people who used to work in the council, or some of our own security officers, police officers of our municipal police are the ones that are renting out so many shops, so many vendors, and they're collecting rents from that. And then information keeps coming literally on a daily basis of doing a whole lot of dubious things at that council. And you begin to wonder if we should start cleaning. Literally, the best start for BAC would be to bring everyone fresh, new people, new staff, and then you start everything afresh because everyone else there has been somehow smeared in something dubious, something
Correct.
terrible in the past. That is the institution. So when I tell you that this is an institution that is very corrupt, I
Right.
mean every letter of that word, corrupt. They are very corrupt. And if you're not honest and you're not you lack integrity, you would easily fall for their corruption or their malpractices because they would easily bribe you into it.
So you're thinking that the corruption has a lot to do with personnel, and for whatever reason, I'm thinking that the system is the problem, and that bringing a professional who can at least fix the system, and that may be the first attempt rather than the personnel per se. Because even if you were to fire, now, let me ask you this question. You did say that there was a committee within the council that is responsible for hiring these collectors. Is that
yes,
quite right?
Yes. That is the Establishment and Appointment Committee.
Yeah. So and you're the chairman of that council, correct?
Yeah.
You do have influence over them, correct? Now,
course,
are they in a position to basically get rid of all those collectors for either lack of not making the threshold that they're supposed to? Do they have the powers to do that? Just get rid of all of them, and then bring in.
They have powers to recommend for the what's it called, Local Government Service Commission to get rid of them. Because of the grading system, they can only sack people in grade 3. The Local Government Service Commission, you see, this is the funny thing. When you look at the Local Government Act as a lawyer, that's why I said it's one of the most terrible drafted legislature that we have in that country. Simply because, you see, when you go to Section 37 of that act, it tells you that the Establishment and Appointment Committee should make recommendations to Local Government Service Commission to appoint and to dismiss and discipline certain people. But if you go to Section 45, that is telling you when it is in the case of the CEO or the clerk of the council, they should also, the council should send it in that situation. It should be the council, the general council. So that is by way of resolution. But when you come to Section 108, where the TOR of the Local Government Act itself get its source, the provision that gave them that establishes it in the first place. When it comes to their function, it only says that their function is to make rules and guidance for dismissal and other things, not actually for them to be able to dismiss another thing. So they then brought in the regulations, service regulations, and arrogated all those powers to themselves. And they said only they can fire and dismiss and all these things, no one else can do it. Now we are all at their mercy. And this service commission is made up of maybe 5-6 people who have different jobs. So they sit once in a while to decide on the recommendations of council. So you can see how things get procrastinated. We have cases where the what's it called, the establishment and appointment committee sent recommendations to the commission. And this is the 4th year. We still haven't got those appointments. This is some of them. This is the 2nd year. We haven't got the dismissals. And those people are still working or they are still under suspension.
Just very quickly, you do sit in that local government service commission. I mean, they cannot do anything without consulting you, like the chairman of the council. Do you do have a
that is how it's supposed to be, but then that is not how it is, how they are operating. And they're not operating like that. They're doing everything. In fact, they're telling us that we cannot do anything of that sort. In fact, when you look at the law, it says that they are supposed to be localized. When they're appointing the CEO, I have to be there with them during the appointment. But that is not how it's happening. It's not how it is happening. They are doing the appointments and they bring it to us. And when we said we don't want it, they bring it still with force. You've seen the situation that happened in KMC.
KMC, correct.
They actually brought the police to force and break the doors and then make sure that whoever they want to be appointed as the CEO, that person sits there. I mean, this is so unfair to the Gambian people. You cannot have elected people they elect to come to council to be responsible for delivery of services to them. And those people being hampered by unelected people at the ministry who have nothing else than to impede service or their objectives of delivering that service to their people. This is the problem. And until this is resolved and governments are willing to let go of this control of the local governments and allowing us and complementing us and helping us deliver service at the local level, at the grassroots level, there wouldn't be meaningful development achieved in this country. And that's the simple fact. They can try at the central government level, but if they don't complement us at the local government level, the development wouldn't reach the local areas. And we are the entry point to the local areas. So, but they gave us the autonomy to have our own budgets.
Correct.
But the tools that help us to do it, they control that. That is the implementers. But they control the implementers. When we ask them to do this, they tell them, don't do that. What can we do? We are sitting there with our funds, but we cannot implement it because central government is dictating that. This is where politics become real an impediment to development rather than a progress to it. And that is not how politics is supposed to be. Politics is supposed to be a vehicle for development. But in here, it's like we are in different vehicles. We are driving different vehicles instead of when my vehicle get elected, me leading the convoy and making sure that we all reach the destiny that we all yearn to be at. Instead, what we do is I will take a detour, you will take a detour, and we start crashing each other when we see who will have the last stand. And that is our situation at the moment. And that is so unfortunate because when you look at our country, we are way behind everybody. You go to Senegal, that's when you appreciate how far behind we are. And we need to make progress. For example, in West Coast, we have not had any development over the last 4 years. So we are way, way behind everyone else. And we want to catch up. And what we need now is everybody's help. We don't need everybody's sort of like fighting at the moment. We don't need that.
Especially when you have, according to you, you have the Local Government Service Commission basically sabotaging whatever initiative you're trying to implement. If I hear
that's exactly what is happening. And they are also, you will say, they are supposed to be independent, but they are dependent on the ministry. And the ministry is a political appointment. And they are trying to do everything. Even getting our own nominations approved is a problem. I have 2 nominations that are still outstanding. They don't want it approved. It's all political.
Nominations for
youth and disabled. For youth and disabled.
Oh, you mean at the council level?
At the council level, yes. They would. In fact, the minister that is overseeing now, I was told that he approved it previously because he approved all the other nominations. But when Usman Sow came in, Osman so decided to derail everything because obviously he had all kind of political issues with us. From the 3 years days and the SIS issues, he decided that he's not going to approve everything. So he sat on it and it took all this while. And now he is no longer there. Well, he is on a sick leave. Someone else is overseeing the place. And that is the person that was there, but he doesn't want to do anything that might offend Usman. So we are in that situation now. But this is politics with everything. And that is not only, they're doing it with the hope probably to more or less maybe impede me, but they're not impeding me. They're impeding the progress and development of the people of West Coast, and that is
absolutely.
It's a collective punishment. Yeah.
Sorry, you're on mute.
No. Coach, would you like to ask a question?
Oh, is Coach there? I didn't even see him.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, and the gentleman. You know, it's difficult for me because I'm not following the conversation that much. So I may ask a question that is that has already been asked. But if that is the case, please let me know. You've mentioned something here: the problems that you're running into. You know, dealing with the ministry, dealing with the local government. Is it the council or whatever they call it? Local government council, commission, or whatever they call it. Yeah. So, but what is the relationship between your council now and the ministry? Is it a cordial relationship, or are you finding it very hard to be able to work together to ensure that what needs to be done is being done? Are you seeing any bottlenecks to some of the reforms that you're trying to put in?
You see, as far as we are concerned, our dealings with the ministry is not that much. It's not supposed to be that much. It's just that the ministry always want to get involved in everything that we are doing, but we are supposed to be a bit more autonomous. We're supposed to be able to run our own budget lines. We're supposed to be building our own markets, trying to create opportunity for our people within our region, bring development and a lot more other things, and be able to collect our own revenue and then account for that to our people and to the National Assembly. The few dealings that we have with the ministry are mainly when, say, for example, when let's say we see a land that which we want to acquire that land for a market for the greater good of the community, then we get the ministry involved to see how best ministry can help us acquire that. That is the dealings that we can have with them. And then if we do our budget, we send our budget for them to approve the budget. And if they need anything, they will ask our finance and audit subcommittee members to go to the ministry to defend the budget. So when it comes to nomination, we send it to them for them to approve it. And then we've seen bottlenecks there. They just decided that we're not going to do this, and that's it. And they stop there, and they're not even communicating, because that is something that they should be doing. If somebody is waiting on you for a decision that you have to make for that person, you at least communicate as to why you are experiencing delays. But if that person calls you, you keep telling them, oh, you will get something, you will hear something by Wednesday, you will get something by Friday. And that is now over months and months and months, to a point that you said, you know what, just ignore these people and move on. So we're literally trying to do whatever we can without having to deal with them. So we have people that we, through our own investigations, have found that those people are wanting for corruption and a whole lot of embezzlement of our revenue. And we believe that those people cannot continue in those posts. And we came with a council decision. The next minute, they're writing a memo saying, oh, let everybody calm down. We are in control. We are going to deal with this situation. And you're supposed to be doing what the law requires you to do. And that is, we make recommendations. The law didn't even say you can reject that. It says we do the recommendation because we're dealing with these people. We are accountable to our people, but these people are supposed to be accountable to us. That's how it's supposed to work. But they want those people to be accountable to them, and then we are accountable to our people. So the chain is so difficult to follow. So now, when we ask those people, when the council passes a resolution, so those people to be suspended, they're telling those people go to work. That's how they are operating. So this, in other words, you cannot suspend anybody. You cannot even do this. You cannot do that. No, it's not supposed to be like that. When you look at the Local Government Act, councils do have, especially councils resolutions, they do carry a lot of weight because the law said if council asks a person to do something, if you fail to do it, you are actually committing an offense and you can go to prison for it for almost 2.5 years for it. So that means that council decisions carries a lot of weight. They have legal power. And if you're in contempt of council, and council also has power to summon anybody in the region. And in fact, we have immunity that which parliamentarians have whenever we are in our council sitting with regards to our utterances or our pronouncements. You cannot prosecute us for it. Even on the way to council, if you happen to have all these things, you have those immunities. So that tells you that the law values councils and it gives weight to what decisions councils make. Because that decision is supposed to be the decision of the whole region. We can make bylaws as long as those laws are not in conflict or inconsistent to the constitution and that of the other legislations. But the problem we are facing is we're trying to clean an institution that is very corrupt. But the ministry is trying to do everything it can to stymie that process. And I don't think that helps, because what is going to happen is if they decide that those people are not going to be shot and those people are going to work, you make it a lot more difficult for that council to work. Because what you are trying to say is you want the corruption that has festered in that council to continue. And you make that very, very difficult for us to make any meaningful gains in terms of development, in terms of cleaning or sanitizing that council. And I think this is a big, big problem. And the ministry, for some reason, they need to see sense that this is not only hampering one person, but it's hampering the whole region. And it is bad. And I think the electorate of the region needs to start making noise about that, because it is their money and it is their funds, it is their revenue, it is for their development. And few people, there is no justification, and there can be no justification for few people to just deprive everyone else of that revenue. And that is exactly what is going to continue. Because if you try to stop them, the ministry is saying they have the power and they can make sure they stay. That is quite unfortunate. And that is the status quo. That is the reality we are dealing with at present.
Well, that is a very sad situation. It looks like a very bleak thing, because the central government is a lot more powerful than the council. And if you are trying to take steps to remedy a situation and they are standing there telling you, move back, you are a little child, you cannot deal with the issue. But the other issue we've seen become an area council. You guys came out with some very damning information about corruption. And I think this led to, in fact, problems with you paying salaries. We've also seen recently in Banjul, I don't know how true it is, where they are talking about lack of resources to be able to pay salaries. And where does this leave the responsibilities of the mayors and yourself, chairperson, because you are the chief executive officers of these councils? Where does the break happen? Where something can go so out of hand that salaries, especially the level of poverty that we have in the country, are even not being paid because of people's corruption. What powers do you have to fight those, and what oversight responsibilities do you have as an elected officials together with the elected council members to ensure that what needs to happen happens? I'll take that answer offline.
Indeed. So the oversight as the head of the council and the councillors that we have, because by law, we are the council. We represent council. And whatever decision we make, that is the decision that should stand in that council. The ministries have no role in there. But the only thing is that if we made a decision and they're trying to make it difficult, the only order, avenue, or remedy that we have is to take the matter or matters to court. And that obviously, as you know, our legal system is not one of the best in terms of expediting things of that nature. It could take lot longer in the courts before we get the final judgment on it. Whilst councils continue to struggle to pay salaries. The reason why we are actually struggling to pay salary is because we have almost 50 million withdrawn from our accounts this year alone, and those withdrawals cannot still be justified. And that is done by the CEO, the finance director, and then some other people within who have the monopoly over the withdrawals of our accounts or signatory to our accounts. And we are still, and that has affected us because when you look at our whole year recurrence or the amount of money we are supposed to pay on salaries for the whole year, it's less than 60 million. By right, it's supposed to be around 48 million, less than 50 million. So if all of that 50 million is already been spent and embezzled by few people who cannot even justify it, you can see why we are now in a situation that which is not of our own making, but it is the making of those few people. And we are trying to get rid of those people as a punishment and as a consequence, because these are actions that have to have consequences. And the consequences that we are facing at the moment is that staffs are not being paid and cannot get salaries, including the chairman and everybody else that works in the council. We are all not paid, and we cannot get paid. So, and few people are responsible for that. But we are trying to get rid of those people, and we are having the government being a stumbling block. So the government literally does not want councils to function. They don't want us to get salaries. They do not want us to be able to pay our own staff, and they want to basically render us to collapse. That is what happened in BAC. BAC went for almost 4 months without paying salaries. And then now at the commission, we are hearing that the CEO and their finance director, who admitted to it, in fact, that they embezzled over 50 million from their funds. And that's why they are struggling to even pay salaries even today. For the last 4 or 5 months, they have not been able to pay salaries. For us, we can say that we've been able to pay salaries from June to last month, even though some people, that was delayed to the very end of the month. And this month, as we speak, we still have not been able to pay anybody's salary. And we are now, today is the 5th of the month. So we are 5 days over the ending of the month, and we're still not able to pay anybody, including the chairman, everyone else, all the councillors, everyone. In fact, the chairman and the councillors, we've informed them that we are not likely to get any salaries until somewhere in the middle of the month, because we have to deal with the laborers. Then from laborers, we have to deal with the general staff of council. Then it comes to councillors and other people, because we're trying to take responsibility that we did not act fast enough. But now that we act, we want the government to take responsibility and then get rid of those people and bring more qualified people to us, and people with integrity, because you cannot tell me this whole country we don't have people with integrity. We don't have people who are coming to work in a council and not willing to steal. We do have those people. I believe we have people with conscience. They are the ones that do the recruitment. They're the ones who bring those people to us. All we are telling them is bring us people with integrity, decent people. We have them in abundance in this country. Don't let anyone tell me that we do not have them. But what is happening is they are sending people to us who they want to be giving them kickbacks or to give them under the table deals. And that is the big problem. And that is what we are fighting against. As chairman and chairperson of the council, we're going to continue to expose this corruption to the people, and everyone will get to know it. Because the least we can do, if we're not able to change these people, we can continue to tell people the dubios and the stealings and all the embezzlement and pilfering of public funds that they're doing at their council, so that people can be able to hold them accountable to it one day, maybe.
All right.
Go ahead, Sarian.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Darboe. I heard you. You have a good grasp of what's going on and the challenges, but I'm also equally concerned about the bottlenecks, between the council's ability to work with the central government. Considering you're the face of Brikama Area Council, what plans do you have for the future? Whereby I understand the complexities, I understand all the relationship, but these are things realistically we should be able to work together in order to bring development. I mean, at a standstill, the people that are impacted are the folks that are supposed to benefit from such services from either the local or the central government. Under your leadership, what do you see moving forward, at least to break those bottlenecks and be able to work as a team?
I think what is helping us, or what is going to help in the future, is that of the fact that, what is it again? We have, sorry, I'm having a lot of noise in this area. I have to tell these people. Let me just tell these people to lessen their noise and I come back in a minute.
Okay,
Yeah. So, Bus, if you're listening, you can come on now so that we can run the ad. Whilst even though we couldn't really hear the noise that Chairman is talking about, Sariang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bus, if you can come on in and then we can run the ads. Because what they call it again? Sendwave is doing something really big, Sariang. Huge. Yeah, last night I had this emergency, and I mean, this is not just for art purposes. Money that I was supposed to send out, I didn't really have to get out of bed. All I did was, oops, Sendwave, come to the rescue. And I'm hoping that even chairman of BAC should start using Sendwave. I hope you're using Sendwave, Mr. Chairman. You heard about that?
Yes, I heard about Wave, and then I'm trying to even register with them because they are really, really good in terms of providing a lot of services. For example, you can pay your gas power and a whole lot of things with them now. They are really, really efficient.
Exactly.
Just to come back to the question posed by Saria. So for us, the future, I think there are few things that are going to help us, because I think the narrative is changing. People are now understanding the negative impact of corruption on their daily lives. That is one. And that is building up pressure on the government and on the ministry and everyone else, because the ministry, in fact, what is helping us a lot more in making that case for us is the commission of inquiry that is going on. So
Right.
they understand that what we are fighting is what is right, and that is what should happen. They're trying to be difficult, but you see, investigators have already reached BAC, and these investigators themselves are telling us that we thought Basse was bad, but BAC looks like it is worse. Because
we can't wait to hear that one.
So what we're telling them is, if you fail to act now, you're going to carry the adverse negative narrative or castigation for it in the future, because we have made it clear to you that this is what was happening here and this is what is happening here. And the people responsible, we have identified those people to you. You now need to act and act fast enough. And I hope the commission drag them back to the commission and hold them and reprimand them for that. Why they have not acted, despite the fact that they've been told by us that they needed to act to save the people of West Coast from further embezzlement of their funds. They can do it, and I think they should do it. I believe they will do it, because of recent we had even their president himself, President Barrow, talking about he is going to deal with corruption. So I think that was a welcoming reaction or sentiment from him. So if he is saying that, I think the ministry would very soon fall in line and then try to do something that is decent. They will do something that is right. But for us as a council, we will continue to write to them. We will continue to tell them what is happening, and we will continue to expose this corruption to the public. And we hope that the public will also hold them accountable for it, including the National Assembly members, because we are engaging them. We're trying to tell them this is what is happening. Hold the ministers, let them come and answer to you why they are not firing X, Y, and Z at our end. So, and these are National Assembly members from the West Coast region. So we are supposed to have a meeting with, I think, all of them, all the elected National Assembly members. We are supposed to invite them to the council and tell them what is happening. And hopefully we would put pressure, and our electorates can put pressure on them to drag this minister to the assembly so that they can name and shame them for failing to act for the benefit of the people of West Coast. You see, the way things work in this country, Sarian, it's not the right way. They expect us to basically fall in line and then basically take bribes here and there. We keep quiet and let things work as they are supposed, as they have been working. And we are like saying that, no, we cannot be part of that. With good conscience, I cannot be part of that. I would rather just go somewhere and do something decent than to be part of that cabal or kabudu business. No. So this is why the activist part of our traits would come into play. Then people will say, well, you need to compromise, you need to govern and all these things. But you see, governing is to succumb to the system, is to be part of the kabudu. So you go to the ministry, you start complaining, they said, oh, Mr. Darboe, you need to understand that this is Gambia. This is how things work here. You come from the UK and you want to change things overnight. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And we're like, no, we are not going to accept that. You know, we cannot live as a decent society and accept that corruption is the order of the day, or people embezzling the funds of the majority of the poor, and the very poorest people you can think of on earth, and the people that they're taking the monies from. And you're telling me that is cool, I have to just accept and then just live with that and move along and get along with it. I'm like, no, that is not right. And thank God I have councillors that understands that. They also totally agree with me that this is not cool. For the last 4 or 5 years, BAC has not been able to even build a simple market. They've not been able to refurbish or rehabilitate a single classroom. They've not been able to even Brikama, even to get street lights in Brikama. They've not been able to get 1, 2, 3 poles of solar lighting in this area. And then you want that to continue for another 5 years, another 6 years. We have Musa Jeng's area in Bigelow could not have paved roads and it's still in a dilapidated area.
Paved roads there. That is true. That we don't have.
So I cannot pretend that that is cool and get along with such. No, I am going to be vociferous about it. I'm going to challenge it. I'm going to criticize it. And if possible, we are on the verge of appointing our own council lawyer, a new council lawyer for us. Once I get a new lawyer, I am going to get that lawyer really busy against the central government, because every now and then we'll be going to court for the judges to make sure that our rights and in the interest of our people get respected by the government. I think that's what we will end up going to, the courts every now and then. You know.
Sorry, Young, before you ask your second question, somebody, start using SendWave. You know, I hope you're using SendWave, Mr. Chairman. You heard about them.
Yes, I heard about Wave, and then I'm trying to even register with them because they are really, really good in terms of providing a lot of services. For example, you can pay your cash power and a whole lot of things with them now. They are really, really efficient. So just to come back to the question posed by Saria. So for us, the future, I think there are few things that are going to help us, because I think the narrative is changing. People are now understanding the negative impact of corruption on their daily lives. That is one. And that is building up pressure on the government and on the ministry and everyone else, because the ministry, in fact, what is helping us a lot more in making that case for us is the commission of inquiry that is going on. So
Right.
they understand that what we are fighting is what is right, and that is what should happen. They're trying to be difficult, but you see, investigators have already reached BAC. And these investigators themselves are telling us that we thought BAC was bad, but BAC looks like it is worse. Because
we can't wait to hear that one.
So what we are telling them is, if you fail to act now, you're going to carry the adverse negative narrative or castigation for it in the future, because we have made it clear to you that this is what was happening here and this is what is happening here. And the people responsible, we have identified those people to you. You now need to act and act fast enough. And I hope the commission drag them back to the commission and hold them and reprimand them for that, why they have not acted despite the fact that they've been told by us that they needed to act to save the people of West Coast from further embezzlement of their funds. They can do it, and I think they should do it. I believe they will do it, because of recent we had even their president himself, President Barrow, talking about he is going to deal with corruption. So I think that was a welcoming reaction or sentiment from him. So if he is saying that, I think the ministry would very soon fall in line and then try to do something that is decent. They will do something that is right. But for us as a council, we will continue to write to them. We will continue to tell them what is happening, and we will continue to expose this corruption to the public. And we hope that the public will also hold them accountable for it, including the National Assembly members, because we are engaging them. We're trying to tell them this is what is happening. All the ministers, let them come and answer to you why they are not firing X, Y, and Z at our end. So, and these are National Assembly members from the West Coast region. So we are supposed to have a meeting with, I think, all of them, all the elected National Assembly members. We are supposed to invite them to the council and tell them what is happening. And hopefully we would put pressure, and our electorates can put pressure on them to drag this minister to the assembly so that they can name and shame them for failing to act for the benefit of the people of West Coast. You see, the way things work in this country, Sarian, it's not the right way. They expect us to basically fall in line and then basically take bribes here and there. We keep quiet and let things work as they are supposed, as they have been working. And we are like saying that, no, we cannot be part of that. With good conscience, I cannot be part of that. I would rather just go somewhere and do something decent than to be part of that cabal or kabudu business. No. So this is why the activist part of our traits would come into play. And then people will say, well, you need to compromise, you need to govern and all these things. But you see, governing is to succumb to the system, is to be part of the kabudu. So you go to the ministry, you start complaining, they said, oh, Mr. Darboe, you need to understand that.
Brother Bass,
Ramos.
thank you much, man. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
And Musa, I have one
question. Chairman,
you have a question?
I live in West Coast to BAC Jabang, but I don't remember the last time I paid my compound rates. So there is still a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of money to be made. So
Indeed. But we will definitely come to your end, and then we will try to see how best we can get you. We can collect your rates, because it will really help us. And the other thing I want to ask you, Baz, is I also want to use this Sendwave. But I've noticed that whenever I go in there, it's giving me the option of putting an American number or UK number or Canada number, and I don't have those numbers. I have a Gambian code, and when I go to select the country, it doesn't give Gambia there. I don't know whether I'm given the wrong one or not.
You know what? I'll talk to the representative here in the US, and there is also this lady Madam Sarr, she's the wave representative in the Gambia, but we'll definitely.
So I think most what the issue is, I'm not a Sendwave representative, but I think Sendwave is for the people outside of the Gambia. So you
Right.
can set it up, but then you can send somebody with a wave number in the Gambian number. But if you want to use Sendwave, you have to use a it's for people that are outside of the US.
Oh,
Outside,
non-Gam-
okay,
So
okay,
and
Okay.
then
okay.
you can send to a Gambian, you can use it to send to a Gambian number, but then you set it
Okay.
up as a, I'm not a representative of them, just helping
But
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that sounds.
Thank you.
All right,
That
thank you.
sounds very logical, really. And like I said, I'll bring it up with Lucy, their rep here, and said, okay, what's up with that? So if you have a Gambian number, you cannot download Sendwave. I mean, but they can download it though, right? Because Gambians are downloading Sendwave. Bus.
You can download it. Gambian use Wave. So
Right.
you
We use Wave.
Sendwave. Yeah,
Oh,
you
they
use
use Wave.
They use
Okay.
Wave, but you use Sendwave. I cannot use Wave with my American number.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
but I
and she did
use
say that.
Sendwave with my American number, and then
Correct.
send to her. So Sendwave is the bigger company, and I
Correct.
think
Company,
Wave is a subset of that, but they have this connection that where you can send a Sendwave can send to a Wave.
Okay. So locally,
You
you
know
can
that-
only download Wave, right?
Yeah, you can
Yes.
download
So
it,
it
but you
makes
can use
Okay, got you.
All right.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you very much, Bas.
Abbas, thank you. All right, so here gives my second question, Chairman Darboe. So, Chairman Darboe, you talk about the especially the stores and the shops that are owned by previous employees of the council, security personnel and stuff, and they've been collecting rent. And when you knew about this, I mean, currently, what is the status on that? Are you trying to, how are you going to resolve that? Obviously, that's not very fair, but are we going to break away the status quo that way at least those things, the revenue that is generated from those stores can actually go to the council and benefit the, folks that should, ultimately are the beneficiaries,
Indeed. So we are actually doing that because we've when they went into the market and they did the assessment, we realized that a lot of those people were paying their lease rent to wrong people who shouldn't be getting it. They did not own those properties because those are public properties and they all belong to the council because markets belong to the council. So we had to then sensitize the sub-owners and the vendors, and we told them that from now on, they should not be paying the monthly rent to whoever they were paying before. And if they continue to do so, we will come and collect it. So that means they're going to pay double rent. So we are not going after what happened in the past. Like I said, with this, if we want to go back after every wrong that happened there, we'll never make progress. We'll just keep going backward, because the moment you go back to what happened in June, even worse happened in 2022, worse happened in 2021. And it keeps dragging you back. So you're never going to be able to make progress forward. So what we try to do is we try to put a stop to all these things now and say, you cannot pay it to that person. You need to pay it to this council. This is the account to that. And what we try to do is we try to also call those people, call them out. For example, in Busum, there was a previous former councillor who used to represent Busumbala called BLK. He has been collecting the rent of the lease rent of all the stalls in that Busumbala market for all these years. And for some reason, nobody had bold enough to take any action against him. So we literally called them and tell them to desist from it from henceforth. And if he collects it from any one of them, we will take legal action. That's why whichever lawyer we take or whichever chambers we end up instructing or having a retainership of, they're really going to be very busy because we're going to take legal action against all these people. But we're trying to give them one last opportunity to say that whatever you've done in the past, and then these people have made a fortune out of the the misfortunes of the people of West Coast. But from now on, we're telling them that no more. Let all that revenue go. Because once we receive all those revenues, we could be making nothing less than $1 billion in a year. And that is a huge lot of revenue for us, that which we can achieve a lot of development in the coming years. We can transform West Coast in a way, not holistically, but in a way that which would be impressive and would actually be pleasing to a lot of people in the region. And I think that's what the people want. They really want to see change. They know that change can happen, and they know that West Coast can progress. They just are so frustrated that it is not happening, and for some reason, it just doesn't seem to be happening. Like the other day, we were dealing with the residents of Bruford Heights. They created an association for themselves, and the residents in that area are paying almost like $250,000 in terms of contributions to maintain their street lights and a whole lot of other things. And they want to see what can the council do for them. But with such kind of revenue in a year, if we're getting that from there, there's a lot that can be done. And we are trying to see how best we can work with the whole of the residents of that area, because they're a bit affluent and they have the resources. What we want is, if we can agree on increasing their rates in that area to a point that we can be able to pave most of their roads, and we can set that as a sort of like a sample for many other wards or settlements who want to engage in similar things, where it is the contribution of the area or the residents of the area. It is their extra contribution that is able to attain or achieve certain development, a lot of developments in their area. I believe it can happen, because if we want to depend on the general taxation of BAC alone to be able to fix everything in BAC, it's going to take time, a lot of time. And a lot of places do not have that time.
Thank you, Chairman Darboe. Over to you, Musa.
Chairman Darboe, I'm going to ask another question and push, and I'm sure it's going to rattle feathers. The people that are watching, they're going to remind me of my coconut head. But I still have to ask it. At the beginning, you said, change is not happening. And the question becomes, why change is not happening? And you have indicated quite a few, but I also want to say that in answering Sarian, you said you will be hiring a lawyer and you'll be going to court and you're going to be utilizing that vehicle. Something tells me that may not bring change that quickly to the people of Birkama. Is it possible, Chairman Darboe, that Birkama Area Council residents, they have become victim for what I would call the UDP-NPP push and pull, fighting, if you want to call it that? Obviously, you are UDP. In answering Sarian, or I think Pasamba, you did indicate that, of course, the autonomy, the law is the law. You can't create a law that we don't have. And then one begins to, you see, for me, even talking about this activism is the governing part that I'm talking about. Nothing can happen in Birkama without engaging the other side, whether it's the state minister, whether it's up all the way to the president. What is wrong with, you do have the capacity, nobody doubts that. You have the competence, nobody doubts that. And I seriously do believe also that you do have the temperament, but I don't think you have the politics right. That you have become a prisoner of this NPP, UDP debacle. What is wrong with setting that aside and engaging the ministry and said, look, here is the potential of the amount of money that can be generated from a revenue standpoint. We are not able to do that because this is exactly what is happening. Let's say when you found out that millions are going into people's individual accounts. Director of Finance, people reporting $400,000 in the books. You go to the account, bank account, it's not even there. You, the chairman, called for a meeting for the local government commission and the minister himself and said, look, we are all in this together. Politics aside, we need to take care of this. And the only way we can do it by making sure that the revenue generated goes into this account. That is not happening. And I want all of us to work together to make that happen. But instead, what Yankuba Darboe is doing, Chairman Darboe is doing, it's like, I'm going to expose them. I'm going to go to member caring. I'm going to go to 40 people by the people and tell them these people are stealing our money. Is Mr. Darboe interested in fixing the problem? Or has he become a prisoner of the politics of the times? And at the end of the day, like you said, you can't pay salaries. Well, hey, you cannot pay salaries. I cannot pay salaries because these people are stealing the money. The people of Brikama are not interested in that. They're interested in delivering services. Are you exploring this other way of engaging these people and said, look, let's work together and fix it? Is that a fair assessment of the situation, or am I just rambling, Chairman Darboe?
Okay, I think my response will maybe qualify which one it is, but you know, engaging them, I think the previous chairman would tell you that they tried to engage, even to have a meeting with Barrow through Galga. You know, Galga is the Association of Local Government Officials or Local Government Authorities, Galga.
Mm-hmm.
So up till today, we are trying to channel a lot of these complaints through Galga, for Galga to have a meeting, to organize a meeting, for us to have a meeting with the minister and all of the stakeholders in order to see how best we can be able to bring this change. But I don't think we are prisoners. I don't think that is the best adjective to describe the situation. I think it is not about being a prisoner. I think the best way to do it is to resist a situation which is simply trying to turn everybody into this corrupt system. So I explained the situation that when you try to talk to people that you need to speak to about these things, they will tell you, oh, Mr. Darboe, you know, this is the Gambia, you need to change and then be like a Gambian. You are still like UK and you are too rebellious and all these things. Keep things calm, let's work together. You know, that is the way they want us to do business, the way they do it. You see what I mean? So it's not like this is MPP, APRC, or what's it called, MPP, UDP fight.
Mm-hmm.
This council in Brikama had been run by APRC for so many years before UDP, MPP came into it. And the same system had been there. The thing is, we are beginning a new transformative agenda. And that agenda is to change the status quo, the establishment, the system itself. And to change that system, you have to be a rebel. Not necessarily because you want to be such, but the system is two ways. It's either you conform to the system or you are an outcast of the system. But conformity here is what I am telling you doesn't align with my conscience. The reason why it doesn't is because it's just like you remember the health minister, Samate. He came to Parliament. He told, yes, you remember Samate went to Parliament. He said his department is corrupt.
Correct.
And it's so bad and all this thing and everything. You know, in the end, what happened? Samate himself became corrupt. To a point that now the whole department is beyond redemption. You see what I mean? Now, that's why we had the Aki and so many kids had to die as a result of it. It's what you're trying to say, what you're telling me to do, I don't mind doing it, but the system will say I have to conform. And that conformity.
But what I'm saying is, you haven't explored, you haven't tried it. In other words, I'm just saying, it is what it is. Have you kind of asked audience for the local government commission or even the minister, the permanent secretary. They have a new dynamic lady who's the permanent secretary now. Have you even thought about, you know what? I want audience with President Barrow. With President Barrow and said, look, I am trying to do this for your legacy, for my legacy.
I have engaged the permanent secretary on several occasions. You know, she is one person I will tell you who always tell me that I will try my level best to help in as much as I can. But sometimes she herself will tell me, well, I have done what I can. And I cannot go beyond that. You see what I mean? I cannot go beyond that.
How about audience from President Barrow? Because it looks like the way things work, whether it's local government minister.
That's what I'm telling you. Galga on the landing signing have tried as an organization that include MPP chairpersons. They've tried several times to have audience with Barrow. They could not have it. You think me who protest against him and I'm the one that he called the stubborn kid, I'll just call him and say, Barrow, I want an audience and then let that happen. Sometimes we have to be real. We have to be real. I know for the sake of argument, you could say, well, you need to do that. But the reality is you can try, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So
because something tells me, whether it's the local government act or even this lack of autonomy that people are talking about, if it were a UDP government, the chances are your hands will not be as tight. You will be able to do the things that you want to do in accordance to, the local government as it is now. Am I right?
You know, one time I was having this conversation with Talib and I said, if it is UDP government, we would have been able to do X, Y, and Z. And he said, but UDP, we were there and then our own people failed to do X, Y, and Z. You see what I mean? So I think the problem we have is that if you want to go along with the system, you find yourself conforming with the system without even realizing it. You see what I mean? And the reason why we have not registered that much development for so many years after independence is because the system that we have is not a good system. And we need to fight to change that system. And even if you're going to be a loner in the system, stand up and fight that system and try your level best to make sure we change it. Because the system that we need in this country, it has to be a system that is accountable and transparent to the people, and a system that puts the people first and not the people who work or who are supposed to be doing the services first.
Well, let me ask the second question.
Yes.
No. But we'll follow up now on to this one question. So the second question is this.
No, but we got, you said under 3 hours,
No,
you asked 4 questions.
This one is important.
No, but you
Chairman Darboe, you talked about the lady at Birkama selling Gersashaf, and you even talked about recruiting people to go to Kalaji. Something tells me these are the small little people. Do you have a plan? You heard what's his name said, Basirundao. I live in Bijilo as well. There's the Bruford Heights. There are big accounts that are out there. That's where the big money is. Whilst you're fiddling with this Kijai Gersashaf, do you have a plan to go after these big accounts that will bring big money and put a system in place to make sure that these ones, I'm going after them to collect, put all your resources, controls, get your license collectors, the ones that are really, really, really good. Because Birkama, like you said, is the biggest, and that's where all the businesses are. Do you have a plan to focus on these big accounts? Make sure that Musajeng, Bijolo is paying rates, and I mean real rates. Make sure that Basirundao paying real rates. Sarian is paying real rates. Where the money is, do you have a plan for that? Because those are the hotels.
Yes, we already have a digital platform or a company that we have already entered into. We're trying to finalize the contract. The only thing we are waiting on is getting our legal advice from our council lawyers on that one. So once that happens, this company is going to help us to do what we call onboarding of all our revenue sources. So we'll have a full inventory of all our revenue sources, and we'll have the data that which we will be able to predict how much we can get next year and then be
Right.
able to get our collectors to go and collect all of that. So in as difficult as the situation is for us at the moment, we're trying our level best in maximizing the limited resources we have and trying to save for our people in as much as we can to make sure that we protect their revenue and we make sure that their revenue is invested in the right way. So for example, next year, we've already done our budgeting for this year. And next year, we have already budgeted 60 million in terms of developments. That 60 million, about 110 million is budgeted for development. That is something that is unprecedented. It hasn't happened before in West Coast. So next year, 110 million, 50 million is going into garbage and waste management. 50 million is going into that. That would help us to acquire at least about 5 or 6 new garbage trucks, 2 septic tanks, 1 shovel, and then and some trucks as well. We're supposed to get at least 60 million. This 60 million, we're going to concentrate on road, at least 4 kilometers or 6 kilometers of road work or road construction in the region, in areas that have been terribly affected by this bad road network or road access during the rainy season. So hopefully next year we will alleviate that for so many hundreds of thousands of people in the region. And in the following year, we hope to increase that from 6 kilometers to maybe 18 or even 24 kilometers in the next budget. So these are the things that we are trying to do. We are trying to fight in every little way that we can to make sure we bring development. So collection, not only the digital platform that we're hoping to start next year, we're also working on creating job opportunity for a lot of youths. As I said earlier in the program, that we intend, at the moment, we've created opportunity for at least 670 youths. We want to double that to even triple it, to get a lot more youths engaged in this revenue collection. So for example, people like Basiru's house would no longer be left out by the collectors. The reason why they are not being collected is because we have few collectors, and those collectors are literally not doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, and that is hampering our maximization of our revenue and our ability to also register meaningful development in the region. But hopefully, if we can create jobs for so many of our youth, not only are we going to deter a lot of them from taking the dangerous and perilous journeys to Europe, we are going to be able to give them hope and give them something that they can hold on to in this country and create a profession for them in being revenue collectors, and hopefully they will elevate in that profession and become directors of finance or a whole lot of other things in the future as well, because it starts from voluntary to permanent to getting employment, and then from employment, God knows, you can rise within the system and become something a lot more important in the future, being in the leadership role and help in shaping a brighter future for the region. So these are things that we have. We have a lot of plans. As I said, these setbacks and these bottlenecks that we are dealing with, they are going to persist, but the best way to deal with them is not to conform to it. It is quite simply continue to rebel against it and then ensure that we are going to be able to achieve meaningful change. And now, you see, when we started in Brikama, we inspired BAC. BAC is also trying to say, we are not accepting this. So, and BAC is MPP. So you have an MPP sitting chairman and West Coast chairman are fighting corruption. And then we are all dealing with the same service commission. So the service commission now has a difficult balancing exercise to do, because they cannot side with BAC and then go against us. Everybody will say, what is going on? This is blatant discrimination, you say.
Absolutely.
So I hope what we are doing will change the narrative, and it will inspire our people to begin to work for the people with pride rather than to work for themselves, and then to take pride in embezzling people's fund, because that is just unacceptable. It's just wrong. Definitely. Nobody should condone that, you see.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Brother man, Go ahead.
Yeah, you're using your filibuster time today, but I appreciate it. So Chairman Darboe, thank you very much for that enlightenment and quite a marathon answer from Musa Yang due to few follow-ups, but you did well. So my question to you is, I think things that you were able to accomplish within the shortest time frame, with all the challenges and bottlenecks that you were able to overcome, tells what type of leadership style you employ, try to bring some type of theme in order to be successful at this point. And I also like the idea of your recruitment style. People are coming forth, the sensitization that you're doing, right? I know member caring was mentioned as a community outreach radio, but I would hopefully I would expect you to expand a little more, especially in the rural areas, to make sure that folks are sensitized and get that message out there, because it looks like people are helping the chairman to ensure that things are in compliance, and hopefully your revenue collections gets maximized. Enough revenue is collected to benefit those who daily need it. So thank you for that. Now, my question to you is, obviously, there is a need. You have such a powerful vision. And I hear this rebellion, and I'm concerned about that a little bit, because I really think you're a very level-headed person and you have the potential, but also there are challenges and opportunities. Now, forgetting about rebellion, what kind of, a more cohesive team you're gonna build in order?
Go ahead, Larry King.
No, it's not about Larry King. But here's the thing, I get it. But now the rebellion part, obviously, we need to make sure that the local government function. And I've been thinking about it. Hopefully someone from the Minister of Local Government is listening, because you have a lot of good points to make across. Why wouldn't I work with that individual? Why wouldn't I work with that council to ensure that revenue collection is maximized, enough revenue is collected in order, whatever you do, whatever revenue you collected, it augment what the central government is doing, and I don't see why they could not, on a good cause, why couldn't they reach out to you and work with you? What I'm trying to say here is, I hope we depart from the rebellion part, and we try to work, be the adult in the room, and reach out to them and make sure that we bring everyone to the table. Even though I get it, but we got to keep pushing. Let's not give up. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing and making sure those people that are out there in the rural, Fonies and in the inlands, benefit from these services. Because why? You said 4 years, there was absolutely nothing, nada. They didn't do nothing. So obviously that's a departure and that's a change. Under your leadership, it brings people's plight, people's concerns is a fore and center. And, we have to applaud you for that. But I don't know what you have to say to that.
No, I applaud it, and then I welcome it too. I indeed want to reach out. The rebellion part is not what we want. Nobody wants to be a rebel, to tell you the truth.
You just said that, though.
No, nobody wants to be a rebel. We are usually forced into rebellion, but we never want to be a rebel. You see, that is the reality of it. Systems force people to become rebels, but nobody really wants to be a rebel. It's like, so on a normal circumstances, or on a level playing field, we would definitely want to work with you see, the vision that we have and the goals we want to achieve. These are things that we will take so much pride in them as well. And anybody who can help us to make those into reality, those are people that we would definitely be indebted in so much gratitude. And if the state or the ministry are willing to work with us and help us achieve that, we will forever be indebted in gratitude to them for it. We'll never go and castigate them for helping us in making those a reality. And even if Barrow helps us out, we will make reference to it. And with all whatever you can say about him, he did help us with this and that and that and that. You know, like we said in Mandinka, Anala Kumbe, he did this thing for us. So we'll give him credit where credit is due. But I think it's not only us that needs to think about the poor person in the rural areas, but I think central government also, we both need to put the people first, our people first, and think about our people, and then let's deliver for them. Let's uplift our people, because you know, just this week in my region alone, I think we lost about 60 youths to this BAC way. 60 youths, all of them lost complete hope in this country, and the only hope they believe they had was that of they can only make it in life when they are out of this country. I think we need to come together and do something about reinstilling hope in our people, and we can do it. We need to forget about politics and then put politics aside and see the country first and our people first. If we do that, we will definitely achieve a lot for our people, and we will save a lot of lives of our youth, and we can create jobs for them. We need to make sure we get rid of people who have been running the affairs of local authorities for so many years. They sat on so many opportunities. They sat there and they said, you know what? We are not going to give opportunity. We're not going to employ or recruit anybody. We're just going to stick to the limited capital that we have. That capital collects the sufficient amount that is good enough for this project or that project, and then nothing else. That cannot be the way forward for the Gambia. And I think if we start fighting corruption, if we start putting our people's interests first, and we start doing pumping, investing our revenue in our people, I think we're going to, nobody is going to be a loser in that situation. Not me, not them. We're all going to, it's a win-win situation for all of us. So we want to work with them. We engage them. Whenever we need to write to them, we write to them. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't respond. You know what I mean? But that doesn't stop us from writing to them. I think what we will not do, and what many people probably might be disappointed, is us conforming to the system as it is. We will not do that. We will stand against that. We will use our platform because we think that this is an opportunity. When we speak, more people listen because we hold a public office of trust and office of public confidence as well. So when we speak, whenever the opportunity arises, we need to seize it, we need to capitalize on it, and we need to tell the people at the top what the people at the bottom are telling us so that they can hear us. That this country, corruption is killing us, corruption is destroying us, and they need to change and we need to change. And we found corruption at where we are. This is what we are doing to change it. We need them to help us change it, and they themselves need to change it. The status quo is unsustainable, and it cannot carry on as it used to. Now, our people want to change. Remember, when we were doing the campaigning, whilst their camp was busy in going after me as rebellious, as stubborn, and all these things, the message that I was able to get to the people is simple. Corruption is what is killing us. Corruption is what is making BAC so ineffective in impacting anything, any development in our lives. But if you bring me there, I will fight that corruption and I will be able to bring development. You will be able to see something, a return of your revenue. That was the message that resonated with the people. And that was what they voted for in massive numbers. That should tell the government that the people are really, really concerned about corruption. And anybody who is fighting that shouldn't be an enemy of the government, but should be seen by the government as their friend and as their partner in development. Because if they don't start fighting it now, you see, they got to a point where they could not even travel. They put a travel ban on their own civil servants because they run out of money. So that tells you that this status quo is unsustainable. So let us do what is right. And that what is right is we need to fight where we need to start taking audit reports very seriously and try to make sure that whatever recommendations are given by auditors, we act upon them. You see, one thing that had been the success of my tenure at BAC is because the auditors, the audit team had been my best friends. And the reason why they became my best friends because they had always been fighting these unscrupulous behavior activities in the council. And they will write it out. They will give you recommendation, do X, Y, and Z. And that's what we've been doing. When they come, whatever we do, before we started, we will take audit. Can you investigate this for us? And they will go and come back with the facts. They will say, this is what has happened. This has not been supported by any voucher. This is definitely pilfering of our revenue. You need to do something about it. What do I do? Do X, Y, and Z. Take this step, take that. Send these people out there. And we've been implementing that, and we've seen the success. Now, on a national level, we have the national auditors who have been doing that every year. They've been pointing left, right, and center. We've seen parliamentary committees doing it of recent too, with the COVID funds and all other things. These are funds, and we commend the government for taking a step against the 3 officials. But you want us to believe that only 3 people have done corruption in this government for the last many years? You know, they need to do a lot more, because when they lead, we will all follow.
Correct.
And when we all follow, the country will progress and the country will move forward. And I think we can do it. And Barrow needs to lead. He is the one at the top. He said we are all his what we call in Mandinka Kware, herd. We are part of his flocks. So he needs to invite everyone. Let's have a national dialogue. They do have it in Senegal. Let's have a national dialogue. Invite the regional heads like ourselves. And we will tell them all the problems we're having in our councils.
Absolutely.
We will tell them.
Absolutely.
And then let them ask us the question, what do you want me to do? We'll tell him, give us the power, we get rid of all the bad ones. And then hire the good ones. And then give us 4 years and you come and hold us accountable for whatever promises we made to you. But this is the way we need to progress this country. We are not just rebels who want to take up arms against anybody. But what we want is
you said the word rebel now.
But what we want is we want to rebel against terrible practices, malpractices in the government. And we want that to change.
Sorry, we're getting close.
We're getting close, but I gotta get my second commentary on the chairman there.
Quick one.
Yeah. So chairman, I listen to you at every interview. I get down the buzzwords. You know, every time if you say certain words, I put it down. So today the buzzword is non-conformity to status quo. No rebellion, but status quo is unsustainable. And I really think you have the public support on your side, because if you start talking about corruption, talking about all these people taking money from the little guy and taking their own, in the local languages, a lot of people are so against that. And I think that team needs to continue. The sensitization needs to continue. Keep up the great work with your team. Push the bipartisanship. And you will deliver for the people of West Coast, because you have a better agenda, better programs to offer, and keep up the great work, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Larry. Brother Yanks, my final statement and question, really, it's always nice to have someone who really knows what he's talking about. And no matter whatever question is asked, you answer it honestly and with intellect and the way you say it. Now, my final question has a lot to do with Yankuba. Things are out there. I have to ask it. That with Yankuba, his ambition is way more than Birkama. That's not where he's getting. And every now and then I see your accolades. They're out there. The Boubacar Siddiqui, and they're pushing the button. Yankuba Darboe, the potential for the flag bearer. They're putting it all over the place. I mean, we're political junkies and we read behind the lines. We do. We glean from it. Now you are seen as a potential to fight for the flag bearer come 2026. Most people, like me, I'll say it. I always said, if UDP is going to be competitive, they need a fresh face. I said it. People accuse me of everything. No, I just believe that. Now, you are one of the potential that is out there. And I listen to you very carefully when you talk about creating jobs for the youths. And when you talk about the backway syndrome, I mean, these are like national issues. These are not little issues. These are not kind of what I would call provincial issues.
But what is your question
alone?
What is your question?
Wait.
We got to get to the bottom of it.
So what do you say when you see people pushing that out there? Do you think you are ready? Faced with Birkama alone, you're like, ooh, you can't even pay salaries. Do you think you are exploring the right? Do you think you're ready to really, run for the presidency? Be the flag bearer of the United Democratic Party. Are you electable? Do you think, what do you think? Tell me something, my brother, tell me something.
No, I think I have a more pressing issues that Brikama to deal with now. The future, one thing I believe, there's this statement that I believe in that says that the future is so wide open there, it can fit in any dream or any ambition or any vision that one has. So one cannot rule it out, because at the end of the day, it is the wishes of the people that will prevail at the end of the day. If the people believe that you can do it and you believe in yourself, you can do it, then you can go ahead. If you ask me whether I can do it, I would say if Barrow can do it, I certainly can do it far better than him. That much I know of. But I think for now, it's not the most relevant question at the forefront of my mind at present, because I am a lot more worried about how we're going to pay our salaries for this month. Yeah. And I know we can do it because the revenue is out there. So tomorrow we are pushing to get a lot more revenue so that by Thursday, we would have enough money to pay at least half of all of our staff. And then the following week, we will pay everyone. That much we are determined to achieve. Now, the next one after that is, how do I get the development agenda that I have for 2024? That is the six kilometer road, the garbage trucks, and all these other things. If I'm able to deliver all those things and then moving on to 2025 and I'm able to deliver a lot more, then I think maybe then the confidence would be there to say to you, yes, Musa, I think I can do it. But if I cannot do that, then I think I wouldn't have the confidence to say, I want to run for presidency. And I don't want to become another useless president of the Gambia. We've had too many of that.
Do you think you are electable nationally? Electable.
Based on
nationally?
What criteria?
Hey, let me ask the question.
No, but who is electable?
I'm asking him. Let the
man. Musa.
But you gotta be fair. You gotta be fair to the chairman. The chairman, hold on a second. This is the chairman. This is the chairman who has more votes in West Coast region. Then you are asking him whether he's electable.
I'm just asking. Why don't you allow the chairman to answer the question?
No, you're not being fair to the chairman. He just answered the question. He told what his priorities are.
He doesn't think it's an unfair question. He doesn't. I'm just asking, do you think you're electable?
No, of course I am electable. You know that I'm electable, definitely. I can attract votes anywhere in this country, because I think my experience of Gambian people is that Gambians are not that tribalistic. They are not that polarized politically as people try to make it. Because when we were doing the campaign, people said, you will not even have any votes in Fonyi, but I had 3 votes in Kanila, And then my hope is in the next election, as a chairman of BAC or any other portfolio, if I should stand, I will get a lot more votes in Kanilai, and I will get a lot more votes in everywhere in Fonyi. And I believe the same thing can be replicated in every part of the Gambia. It's just because Gambians want change. They want development. That's the basic thing that they want. They are fed up of their status quo. They want to change. That's why they are going through every struggle to get out of this country to go to another place, you see. But I believe my party has, we told you people, give the votes to my, and if we have him as president, we'll have a very good country. People did not believe us. They said, oh, left, right, and center, and they did not vote for him, and now we have facing the consequences of that. Elections do matter. What I will tell the people of the Gambia is, give us one chance. One chance. That's all we ask. One chance. And we will prove to you what we can do. And as we have done for the people of KMC, Banjul, but now we are doing it in West Coast, and we've done it in LRR. And suddenly we can do it the whole country if UDP is given the opportunity. And 2026, 2026, whoever UDP chooses, I tell you this, and I bet anything on it, that will be the best candidate for the country. And let's give the votes for that.
Absolutely. That is why it's always important to ask the questions, because you've answered it brilliantly. But again, thanks, Yanks. We definitely appreciate it. And any closing remarks that you have, we'll definitely we thank you immensely. And whether one support Yanks or the UDP, there's absolutely no doubt. Like I said, you have the temperament now. I always question that. Nobody doubts the capacity, and you're doing all you can in Birkama. But like I said, though, activism, take that hat and put it aside and govern, reach out, make it happen. I think it will make you a better leader. That's my say, and you have the last word.
You're doing a fabulous job, Chairman Darboe, mixing that activism with your experience as a lawyer. I think you are able to deliver some of the most important agendas forefront at the chairmanship at Brikama. So keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. All right, Yanks, last word. You have the last word.
Thank you very much. I don't think I can add anything to that advice, and I respect them, and I will take them on board, and will definitely strive to do a lot better than we have done yesterday, and we'll keep pushing and keep pushing until we make sure that not only do we have a better, but we have a better Gambia for every Gambian. And I would be proud to be part of that struggle. I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Just tell my potential wife that I'll be sending something on Sendwave just to make sure that the competition will not be out there. Thank you, Yanks. We definitely appreciate you. Definitely.
As long as you're also going to turn yellow as well.
Yeah, that one. If it means exploring that, I might look into it, because Daral Namako. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Brother Sariang.
Yes, sir.
Bro, I gotta go, man. I gotta go to that event, let him in. And then
I hear you, go ask the questions, because you always have questions to answer. But I'll be watching you there. The question needs to be fair that you're gonna be talking about.
You know me all the time.
Is it gonna be live streamed though?
I don't think, maybe too. I don't know. I'm sure. You know how it is nowadays.
Well, I just want you to send me a video of your questions that you asked. So I would like to see those.
You should know those questions already.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Thank you, boss, very much.
One more. You have one more.
Oh, yes.